this question is asking that for many of the women, many of the sisters, during their monthly cycle, they go through hormonal changes. And because of these hormonal changes, that impacts maybe their attitude, their psychological state. They might go through, let's say, just some types of anxiety. They may become more sensitive, more irritated during that time of the month. So the question is asking, what is the obligation of women during this time? And how do you educate men, those men around these women, whether it's a husband or a brother or someone else, to be understanding of this state? Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Holy Quran. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this issue in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that it is adha. For the woman, this is a state that is uncomfortable for them. By telling us that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting men to be understanding that, listen, through this period, they are going through some changes. There are factors that are influencing maybe their behavior, maybe their state of mind, their psychological state. There are factors acting upon them. And this is irritating them. This is making them uncomfortable. The Quran calls it adha. For those of you who know Arabic, adha is something that makes you uncomfortable or something that bothers you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually reminding those men to be considerate, to be understanding that they're going through a phase. Many men are not understanding when it comes to this. They, will quickly get frustrated. They will react, not understanding that this person is going through changes. And when someone is going through changes, you have to be understanding. This person does not personally mean maybe some of the things they're saying or some of the reaction that you see from them. It's just due to these natural changes that happen in the body. So men have to be responsible. They need to understand this. And one recommendation that I always give to my brothers and sisters, especially those who are not married yet and they're about to marry, you need to prepare yourself for marriage. Marriage requires preparation. It requires mental preparation, psychological preparation, emotional preparation. You need to know how the opposite gender works. Yes, we're similar, but we're also different. Our psychology is different. Our emotional state is different. Science confirms this. Being aware of these psychological and emotional differences will help you deal with each other in the best way possible. Will help you deal properly. Just to give you a quick example, scientists have analyzed the brain of males and females to see what kind of differences there are. Now, there are neurons that connect the right side of the brain to the left side of the brain. We have these neural networks that connect the two sides of the brain. Do you know, on average, women have 4 times more neurons connecting the right side of their brain to their left side? 4 times more than the average man. That has a lot of effects. That's why, for example, women are better at multitasking. Why? Because Allah has given them that ability. You've seen them, right? Your mother, your sister, your wife, she's in the kitchen. She may be cooking, and with one hand. With another hand, she's speaking on the phone. With another hand, she's giving you orders. And, she's also managing everything, talking to the children. They do it all at once. Or if you've ever seen women in women gatherings, like 5 or 6 of them in a gathering, they're all talking and listening at the same time. Now, brothers, honestly, can you do that? I can't do that. I can either talk or listen. I can't do both. Because of that limitation. I've got less neurons connecting the two sides of the brain. But generally speaking, women can do that. They are better at multitasking. Men, they need to focus on one thing. to get it done. If there's too many distractions or too many things, they can't stay focused. See, these are differences. Now, I know a lot of wives, a lot of husbands, they get frustrated. For example, the guy is reading his book or he's reading the paper and the wife is talking to him. There's no response. Like, Habibi, she says something to him. The guy's in his paper, he's in his reading, he's doing something. And then after a third time, she feels personally offended. She starts yelling at him. Am I a wall here? I've been talking to you and you're not responding to me. What's the matter with you? See, if she just understands how he functions. Now, there are some negligent people. I'm not saying every husband is loving and compassionate and not negligent. No, there are negligent husbands. But a lot of times, men don't do this out of negligence. Sometimes when I'm reading something or I'm thinking about something, believe me, if there's an explosion around me, I probably won't feel it. You just go in a different world. Somebody could be talking to you, I'm not even hearing it, right? Don't take it personal. Just realize that's how a lot of men function. When they're reading something, they're doing something, go, grab that paper from their hand, and then talk to them. And then they say something to them. But if they're in their thing, in their work, it's not a good idea to talk about something important because you'll be upset. Men also need to know that women have certain emotional standards, certain psychological states, and that way you don't take things personally. Now, one of the things for men to be aware of is that women go through certain phases in the month that could change or alter their attitude, how they react. Don't take it personally. In fact, be more sensitive to them in this time. Be there for them. Show them more emotional support because they are going through changes. They need your help. They need not your help, but for you to be understanding. Collaborate with them. So a lot of men need to understand this, and especially our youth who are about to get married, they need to understand these differences. Knowing these differences will really help you in avoiding any personal conflict in marriage and trying to understand where the other person is coming from. You allow yourself to put your shoes in the opposite gender, and that in itself is very important. Now, as for the women themselves, if because of these changes, they may have said something out of line, maybe they became irritated, they reacted negatively, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving. Allah created them. He knows that they go through these changes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He knows you're not deliberate, you did not deliberately do this, if for example if it was negative akhlaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving. He will forgive, but one has to try, of course. This is a test, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for struggling in this test.